Another installment of Dirty Data here on the fourth period alongside Aaron Ward and Shane Kelly. I'm Irfaan Gaffar. Gentlemen, let's start with the team that, you know what, is surprising some people a little bit, Aaron, and that's the Dallas Stars.
Yeah, I think off of what they did with Calgary last year, taking them to 7, it got the attention of some people. But as you see them play, you think to yourself, is this something that is manageable through an 82 game season? Are you going to play tight, limit opportunities? And coming into the season, you don't think that's necessarily the style and the makeup of this lineup. So now you got Benn, Seguin, and Pavelski, aging veterans coming into this season. You're looking for another catalyst, and what you get is Robertson, Hintz, and Marchman. And these guys have been playing extremely well. So offensively, it's almost like Pete DeBoer coming in and Bonus leaving has opened up stylistically the way the forwards might want to play. On the back end, there was maybe a fear with Klingberg leaving that there might be some damage done to the continuity and the effectiveness of this decor. Hasn't shown itself to be. And Ottinger just picked up where he left off from last year in the Calgary Flames series. He was lights out. I mean, this is a guy that's a game changer. Every team around the National Hockey League is looking for that 1A, and here it is in Dallas. He's just a beacon of excitement.
I think that the theme for me this episode is going to be shooting percentage. I love what these guys are doing. I love Hintz as a player. It's fun to see a team that's kind of not been on anybody's radar for a while play this well. But just to give you some stats on what they're doing from a shooting percentage perspective. So this year they're shooting 15%. Last year, the top team in the league shot 12.3%. The Dallas Stars shot 9.4%. So some of this is at least being fueled by, I don't want to call it luck because, guys can improve. You said the system can change, and that might be contributing to this, but the likelihood that somebody shoots 3% better than the best team last year over the course of a whole season, probably not high. So some of this will come back down to earth. How do they keep playing well without it? Well, just like what you talked about, limiting scoring chances. They're top 10 or borderline top 10 for expected goals against and goals, and their goaltending's been amazing. So there's things to build off here, but I would just caution, the hot start early in the season could be fueled by some crazy shooting percentage.
I completely agree, because you look at it, and with a coaching change, sometimes from a team perspective, it's a blank slate. Everybody can re-earn their position. But for veterans, it can be invigorating because you're going to open up away from where they were last year. It's exciting, the style they're going to play. So where you're seeing maybe a little bit of an overshoot percentage-wise, it might be coming from that. Guys are really happy and thrilled about the way they're going to get to play in a game. That's a little more enjoyable than sitting back and playing system-oriented game.
Yeah, the other piece there to touch on that you mentioned was Klingberg. To me, from a defensive perspective, that's addition by subtraction. He hasn't been much of a defensive defenseman in years. He was one of the worst transition defenders in the league last year. So, you are giving some stuff on the attacking side up by losing him, but defensively, he's been an anchor for that team in a bad way. So getting rid of him is helpful in that sense.
Yeah, you mentioned, the Dallas Stars and surprising some people for good reasons. Now, this team had some pretty high expectations heading into this year, Aaron, and that's the Minnesota Wild.
Yeah, this is an absolute head scratcher. The idea that you got Fleury and net and you have hope there. I mean, you got a pretty decent decor. Spurgeon, Dumba, Brodin. When you mention those names, you think to yourself, there's going to be some offense added, neutralizing the defensive zone. And it's been nothing like that. Fleury has not been good. The decor has not been good. Of anything, Kevin Fiala out in LA right now must feel really good about his career, that he somehow, at his departure, has systematically dismantled an entire organization. I mean, even look at a guy like Hartman off of a really good year last year, 2 assists after 5 games. This isn't something this Minnesota team can stomach for very long. And from experience, when it's going this poorly, the negative thoughts, the lack of confidence seeps in quite quickly, and trying to right the ship is so difficult in light of the fact that there's some teams that are just humming along and playing very well. You're going to look at, a game that's coming up against Montreal, a team that you think might be at the bottom of the Eastern Conference, pegging Minnesota to be the team they want to take out, and they feel like they can. That's a bad place to be in the National Hockey League right now.
The thing with Hartman you got to ask yourself is he the player he was last year, 65 points in 82 games, carrying a second line? Or is he the player that he was every year before that in his career, averaging about a point every 4 games, give or take? The other thing I mentioned was the shooting percentage themed episode. Last year, he shot 15%. His previous career high was 11. So I think we can not safe to say I think that some of this has been fueled again by a guy just having a career year and kind of falling back down to earth. And then you mentioned Fiala. How much was Fiala really doing all the work on that line, and Hartman was kind of more of a passenger than carrying it? The one thing I'll say on Fleury, you're kind of stuck between a rock and a hard place because he actually hasn't been that bad by a lot of the advanced stats that we can look at. So his goals above expected. So how many more goals or less that he would save versus the average goalie is exactly 0 this season. The problem is he can't play 60 games anymore, and their backups have been the worst in the league, and it's not close. So I don't know what you do in Minnesota. Do you try to ride him out now to stabilize the ship and figure it out later? Or do you just hope that one of the backups, stops being a pylon?
Well, Dean Evason has got his work cut out for him.
Gentlemen, thank you very much for this. It was two teams. Again, some of the themes of these Dirty Data segments have been going in completely different directions. So let's see if the Minnesota Wild can right their ship and the Dallas Stars can continue their hot start. Thank you very much for this.